All right. Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Abby Jelovich. I am with the Missouri Association of College Admission Counseling, welcoming you to our virtual college exploration for all Missouri students. Um, and just want to go over a few things as we get started. The first is just to explain how you ask questions in this session with Milwaukee Institute of Art and Design, or MIAD. Simply just use the Q&A feature and your questions will go to our presenters. Just a reminder that your mic and camera are off. So the panelists can't see or hear you. So again, please use the Q&A feature if you have questions. A reminder that there are lots more sessions over the next couple weeks, and you can sign up at moacac.org. And after this session, recording will be available at moacac.org as well. And with that, I'm really excited to introduce our presenters, Sarah and Melissa from MIAD. And with that, I will turn it over to them.
Thank you so much. Awesome. Hi, everybody. My name is Sarah Sutterfield. I'm a senior admissions counselor at the Milwaukee Institute of Art and Design in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Tonight, I have with me Melissa, who is going to go over all your questions in the Q&A. Do not hesitate to ask questions if you have them for MIAD before I get to a certain subject or a certain major that you're interested in. Our main focus for tonight is really discussing the advantages of an art school, and not only an art institution like MIAD, but also one that is located in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And so with that, that's kind of where I'm gonna go with my opening. So hello, Wisconsin. I'm actually from Lawrence, Kansas. And so when I was looking at colleges, one thing that really appealed to me about MIAD in particular was that it was centrally located amongst other cultural hubs and cities. So these times that I'm going to give you are all driving times. So we're an hour and a half away from Chicago, an hour from Madison, 5.5 hours. If you go east or west, you're in different major cities, whether they be Minneapolis or Detroit. And that was something very appealing. But this is Milwaukee. This is our.
Your screen's not showing right now, just so you know.
Oh, thank you so much, Melissa. Let me try to do this again. Let's go all the way over. And I'm a fast talker, so we can do that. How? Sorry, all technical difficulties, telling ya. Let's see, share screen. It must have booted me at that point in time. All right, can you see this, Melissa?
Yep, all good.
Okay, cool. So I've been talking. You guys didn't see anything I was saying. I'm so sorry, but this is my welcome screen. And this is Hello, Wisconsin. So it was a little funny. Thanks for letting me know, Mel. And so when I was talking about Chicago, I was literally giving you a visual aid about the other cities that we're in. And then this is Milwaukee. This is the city that we're in. That's the Milwaukee flag. We're on Lake Michigan. Actually, something I didn't realize, being from Kansas, I was like, oh, there's a body of water. That's interesting. Yeah, one of the Great Lakes. It's very awesome to be right on the lake. And there's a lot of activities on the lake as well. Milwaukee is home to 140 parks, 9 beaches, and 3 rivers. And you're going beach town, and that's totally right. Milwaukee is the first place I've ever seen someone surf. Which is really wild and cool, and very cool for a city that also has really extreme, beautiful, gorgeous winters. Actually, my orientation ends on that Saturday with a sand sculpture competition at Bradford Beach or Atwater Beach, 2 very cool spots. And the Milwaukee River runs right through downtown, which is where MIAD is located, and we'll get to that in a second. But that's actually the building of MIAD right there on the right-hand side of your screen. So we frequently see kayakers if you're in the printmaking labs on the 3rd floor. We're also known as the City of Festivals. If you've ever heard of Summerfest, the largest music festival, I think it's still the largest, that occurs within walking distance of MIAD. Same with Pride Fest, Polish Fest, Fiesta, and much, much more. And this is the Milwaukee Art Museum. It has a great collection, and it's also a gorgeous building. Students at MIAD get membership to the art museum. They also a part of that membership, you know, you can enter lectures and exhibitions for free, which is a great perk. This is also within walking distance, so MIAD students frequent the MAM, as it's called. And then art in Milwaukee is really vibrant. This is a real quick map I whipped up that has, just within walking distance or some quick drives, other places and other galleries that are part of our art community in Milwaukee. Josh Heinz is actually the owner of our gallery that is in the Walker's Point neighborhood, which is, I would say, catty corner to MIAD, a little diagonally. And Sculpture Milwaukee is a budding new nonprofit in Milwaukee that has started bringing other nationally or internationally known artists to our city, which has also been very cool the last couple of years. And this actually is right across the street from MIAD in Catalano Square, which I'll reference a little later. But this is called Museum of the Moon, and it was a great, cool art installation that actually lit up at night. And it was this giant moon that was to commemorate the Apollo 11th landing. It was the 50th year anniversary, I believe, which was very cool. Again, if you have any questions before I get to, you know, talking about animation or anything like that, please feel free to ask in the Q&A, and Melissa is there to answer your questions. But MIAD is actually located in the Historic Arts District called the Third Ward. It's a really small section of downtown that is right on the river, blocks from the lake, and centrally located in Milwaukee. And MIAD actually has student apartments right across the street named 252. I do say that they are apartments because they are. They're not necessarily dorms. They're about 5 to 6 years old now. When I was a student, I graduated in 2017. I did not live in these, so that's how new they are. And again, right across the street, as this panorama shows you kind of this huge blocks, city blocks view of MIAD, and right across the street, the student apartments. And this is kind of the inside, you know, full kitchen, full living area, 2-bedroom and 2-bath. There's 5 people that live in every single apartment. 1 bedroom will have 2, and then 1 bedroom will have 3 humans. And if this were a triple room, those beds would be bunked, and there'd be another bed lofted with a desk underneath it. All the furniture that you're seeing here comes with the apartment. Bedding and decorative items you bring. We want to see your personality in your home, because that's exactly what this is going to be the first year that you attend school at MIAD, is a home. So here are some examples of some students who have, you know, become roommates and kind of made their space their own. The first floor of 252 is the Blick Arts and Materials store. So actually your first year experience at MIAD, you get a full supply kit as part of your tuition, which is really a great perk. And then you have Kickapoo Coffee, which that's where people in the morning get their caffeine. And then Catalano Square, I mentioned a little earlier, with the Museum of the Moon. And you can see it's a nice green space where a lot of people will end up having lunch or hanging out in their breaks. And again, I want to kind of go back to that idea that, like, you are right across the street from the place where you get to experience these classes that feel like home, because you're immersed in this art and design practice, and then you kind of are making this holistic community in the Milwaukee art scene, either as an artist or a designer, which is incredibly special. And mine is an old automotive factory, so a lot of the pictures that I'll show you have this kind of gritty industrial energy to them, and it's because we are an old factory, which is really exciting, and that means that there's space for you to create. I've never been told to limit myself in terms of space at MIAD, which was really exciting as a Bachelor of Fine Arts student. As an undergrad, being encouraged to, like, if it made sense with your concept, go big, was incredibly empowering. And so with that, we're gonna kind of explore a little bit more about what makes and who makes MIAD MIAD. So the MIAD community is 930 students currently, with a ratio that kind of ebbs and flows depending on the class, from 16 students to 1 faculty to 18 students to 1 faculty. And that square footage number is not the square footage of MIAD, it's actually the creative square footage. So that's not including classroom, that's like, you know, studios where students have their own space. That's facilities to make, that's space to exhibit work. That's all in addition to the offices, the MIAD Student Union, and et cetera, that all exist in the same building. MIAD is a single building campus, except for the 252 apartments across the street. So the river level essentially is a lot of offices, and some offices are scattered throughout the building. A square footage number is only space for students to create work and to show their work. We're also on a first name basis. There's something really awesome about being able to call your faculty by their first name and having kind of a personal connection with them right off the bat, almost this like, oh, I'm not in high school anymore. I'm an adult and I get to call you Jill and you get to call me Sarah, and then we're gonna have this repertoire that we're gonna continue. That professionalism starts from day one, and that was something I really appreciated about my experience at MIAD, and something that I've seen other students really grow into. So with that, we're gonna talk about the first year experience. We get asked all the time, does MIAD have a foundations year? And I love to say, MIAD has a first year experience. It's not foundational. We have a lot of facilities in our building, and we want to make sure our students understand and know how to utilize the facilities that they're paying good money for. And so you will have classes in FYE that encompass 2D, 3D, and 4D, which is awesome. That really gets to, you know, your sense of exploring your first year, different mediums, different materials, understanding how the world around you is like coming together. And maybe if after that exposure, you are still dead set on this one goal, then that's awesome. But now you have other skills, and maybe you have something to bring to that you're maybe more interested in. Who knows, maybe now you're sculpting in VR to do animation and you didn't even have that skill before. So those facilities I'm talking about. Our 3D lab is our 10,000 square foot wood shop. We have an open lab, which I believe is being rebranded now as the Emerging Technology Center. That's to come hopefully soon with some kind of new equipment and a new space within MIAD. But this is where you're gonna find a lot of the 3D printers, the vinyl cutter, laser cutters, Cintiqs, as well as fine art facilities, including a sculpture lab with a foundry and one of the largest printmaking labs in the Midwest. In addition to lighting studios, we have a green screen room that is awesome, including a recording booth and 2 galleries, the Frederick Layton and the Brooke Stevens Gallery, where we host national artists. So we get to kind of add them to our community for a while, and students get to have that experience of having artists on campus continuously throughout the year. Another great skill that you learn your first year is how to critique. How do you talk about art and design in a productive way while being encouraging, maybe critical, but always respectful? There's always fine lines. And I think that that's something really nice when you're part of a community that's always trying to better one another, especially within each other's own practice. And you're also trying to figure it out. You know, you're a freshman in college, you're trying to figure out, what am I doing? Who am I trying to express? And at what point do I start to turn that into a career focus driven goal? And part of that is the MIAD Innovation Center. This didn't exist when I was a student, but I'm very lucky that Drew, who you'll see on the next slide, also works with alumni. But this is a great hub that, you know, is all about innovative and entrepreneurial kind of solutions and growing while you're in school as a student. And Drew is great at having corporate partners who work with students and pay students while they're in school. So my biggest recommendation, if you're going to be a freshman at MIAD, if you're remotely interested in a career after art school, you know, take your classes, do all that, get immersed in the community, but go see Drew and say, I'm ready to work, or this is what I got and I'm so ready to learn, because he will put you on a team and, you know, he'll say, oh, you have these skills, that's great, I'll keep that in mind for this as companies are coming through, and that's really awesome experience to have. The Emerging Technology Center, which is our open lab, is usually right next to the Innovation Center, and that has some great cross collaboration with lecture series and more too. One example of a professional collaboration is the lip balm company Carmex. They actually had some really great illustration students do some rebranding for their Instagram and their social media this past year, which was super exciting for our students and super exciting for the company as well to kind of see the potential of how their brand could grow. All right, so finding your path, you know, kind of that step and that leap from first year experience into your major of study. So MIAD offers 5 majors. They're all Bachelor of Fine Arts earning. We don't have a master's program at MIAD. We focus on the undergraduate experience. We also have a lot of minors to boot, including our liberal studies. So you can minor in writing or art history. Liberal studies is 1/3 of your curriculum at MIAD. 2/3 is spent in the studio, which is also a great advantage of attending an art school. If that is your focus, you can really dive deep into it. And in 4 years, allow yourself the networking and the time to kind of develop those skills over time. But liberal studies, art history, writing, humanities, and natural sciences. I'm a writing minor, and that was because it was a mistake or like a happenstance. The registrar said, oh, Sarah, you've taken enough courses. And I was like, oh, great, let's fill out the form. It's just because the writing courses at MIAD were very appealing. They were super awesome. They had a lot to do with what I was investigating in my practice at the time. And they were just fulfilling to take. They were exciting courses. They always have something to do with your own practice. You get to really fine tune the direction that your liberal arts takes as well. For example, the fungus lifestyle, this is obviously an illustration student who's really invested in this natural science course, investigating different types of fungi and how they exist. We also have a cross curriculum collaboration with Marquette University, which is a couple miles away from us. You can attain minors through them as well, like business or advertising or psychology. And you can also do club sports at Marquette, as well as you know, take an enrichment course. I have some students who might, you know, want to take a foreign language, and mine doesn't offer any of those currently. So you can do that at Marquette as well. And again, 1/3 of your time is spent in the studio, 2/3 is, or excuse me, 1/3 is liberal studies and 2/3 in the studio. And this is an example of what a studio space at MIAD would look like, and it really does change depending on your major. So kind of just an overview of those basics again, so you can take a screenshot of this if you want for later. And then we're gonna dive into the majors. So we're gonna begin with new studio practice, which is MIAD's fine art major. This is an interdisciplinary major, meaning you are not tied down to any specific medium. You're not going to say I'm a photography major. Everyone's an NSP major, but if you only do photography, then that's your practice. If you are working conceptually, which is really strongly encouraged, maybe you're working primarily with a figure or primarily thinking about you know, technology and the human experience and something very specific. How are the mediums that you're choosing to work with, like amplifying that concept? And so that's really what we're trying to get across with students is, you know, you might be a photographer who's working in this concept, but maybe you're critiquing with someone who's doing fabrics, textiles, someone who's doing installation work, someone who's doing printmaking, and painting, you know, and all that kind of adds to this idea of critiquing, and also can open up your ways of seeing and your own exposure to art, and the ability to discuss art and design in a contemporary world. Reed's a great person that I love to describe as someone who, you know, took their aesthetic, took their skill, like many MIAD alumni and put it in a space like a hotel. So this is actually a hotel room that they ended up doing one of the rooms for at the St. Kate's, which is downtown Milwaukee. Or Melissa Johnson, who had a minor in illustration and then went into that kind of full tilt post-graduation, working for a publication company called the Shepherd Express, and has also done some labels for different companies like Hacienda, a new company in Milwaukee as well. And again, that, collaboration, that critique and analysis is super important because it's also, your peers are your colleagues. They're people that you spend 4 years with learning and growing from. All right, so illustration. I love it when students are like, I want to do illustration, and I don't really know what I do after. And it's like, that's so exciting because there's not one answer. And it really does depend on the interest of the student and the aesthetic and kind of what they are really looking to do. There's so many things, whether you're wanting to work at a company like Kohl's, doing textile and pattern design. Maybe you're wanting to do brand and identity for certain companies with your own aesthetic. Maybe you want to do product design and labeling or packaging or publication design. There's a lot of different ways for this major to kind of grow beyond, and including concept design. So digital, if you are interested in digital, if you're a student who is drawing on their iPhone, if you've downloaded Procreate or done any of that, that's awesome. Focus on that, hone in those skills, and concept design and animation exists within our illustration major to some extent. We have a minor called digital media production that right now is how animation is taught within MIAD, and it might be amped up to a major eventually, which is exciting. So learning how to activate an image is part of this major as well. I'm just going to give you some more examples. And then there's professional collaborations, right? So every major has them. One of illustrations is with Collectivo Coffee. So the students in this class all participate by doing a cup design for this company. And 4 students are chosen to have their cups reproduced, and then they're sold in stores, and students get paid for their work. So it's really common that when we have professional collaboration, students aren't only amplifying their own CVs and their experience, but we try to make sure that we have collaborators who want to pay our students for the work that they're producing and making for the real world. Gabriela Riveros is another great alumni. She works at Kohl's and was also the artist for the Milwaukee Film Festival a couple years back, which is really exciting, and does a lot of freelance. I love this take on the Bosch painting, and it's super vibrant, super fun. And then Keith has done a lot of work for the New York Times. Again, you can see this style, this aesthetic coming through on each individual and what they're bringing to their own practice. And same with Madeline Dahl. So their senior thesis was completely based in their science minor, and kind of their interest had spurred from there. And now they work for a company in Minneapolis called Blue Rhino Studio, which their position kind of led into this whole exhibition design. Another job that you wouldn't necessarily think of an illustration major having, but her skills, especially her interest in sculpture and science, have led her down this path of the museum world. All right, communication design. So CD is awesome. It is all about brand and identity of companies. Who is the company? Who are they? What are they trying to say? And so, that can be anywhere from packaging as well as publication, magazines, even it can go into other territories such as filmmaking or user experience as well. So this is Sydney Watson's Encounters. How you are interacting with an iPhone, with an app, that's all user experience and design, and that's something that a lot of students right now are really excited about and are, because of the way our culture is, getting really trained in so that they know how to do this for companies. Chelsea Atwell is an awesome alumni, ended up working for Hillary's campaign in 2016, doing a lot of their communication design work. Manuja, I did all the Penguin classics of the Shakespeare novels. They're gorgeous. I actually ran into a student not too long ago who said like, oh my gosh, I have her shirt. And I was like, oh my God, that's so exciting. And that was random. That was in, I think I was in Missouri actually when I met that student. So that's very cool. If you were here tonight, bravo to you. But again, beautiful aesthetic, beautiful work, but really saying and conveying a message with what they're doing. And Xavier Ruffin also has really gone down this awesome path, is now the director of his own production company, worked at Kohl's for a while. Kohl's is based in Wisconsin too, so we have a really great relationship with them. And he ended up feeling, you know, I'm just not fulfilling something that I need to do. And that is awesome, that gut reaction. And so he ended up going to LA, making his own production company. He's worked on FX's Atlanta, and I think we have some time to watch the beginning of this demo reel. If you want the full thing, we can totally get it to you. I'm just going to continue because I am losing track of time. I really don't know where I am. Parker, another great alumni, who ended up getting really immersed in filmmaking. He is a self-labeled director, artist, and he has worked with companies like Netflix for certain projects like Bird Box and Medal of Honor. All right, product design. Product design is awesome. This is a major that I didn't really know existed before attending MOACAC. And it's a major I think is essential to our daily existence as human beings and the interaction with products on a daily basis. Very cool and kind of heady. You know, if you can see a problem in the way something functions and you can figure out a way to problem solve and fix that problem, that's awesome. That has super potential for the world. And it can be a small change, like a chair, the ergonomics of a chair. If you have a water bottle that doesn't stop, you know, dripping or it's leaking when you're trying to drink from it, it's a nuisance. Products should work better for us and smarter for us. And so that can mean soft pack design, power sport design, wearable products. I love the examples here. David is a great alumni, graduated this past spring. He had an internship at NASA, which is wild. His senior thesis was super cool. It was virtual, as we were going virtual with COVID. And it ended up being gorgeous. All the virtual reality and the sketches, amazing. This entire concept of a lunar habitat for NASA. We also have a really strong collaboration with General Motors, GM, for power sport design. And that's, you know, really focused on the actual car or power sport, jet ski, boat, like, you know, how that sleek aerodynamic functions is really exciting. And then you have Ben McGinley. So this was his senior thesis exhibition, sculpting this motorcycle from clay. And then Ben actually was the youngest person to be hired at Harley Davidson. And his project was Project Livewire, the first electric Harley on the market. And I believe it went on the market not too long ago, within the past year or two, and it had been in the works for quite a while, which is exciting. All right, interior architecture and design, IAD. This major thinks about design on 3 scales of creation. I always say it's kind of like how humans interact with furniture in a room, how furniture interacts with space, and then how that space interacts with the greater environment that it's in. And so IAD students are considering all 3 of those when designing their projects. And these are spaces within MOACAC, which show you the differences. If you remember that studio I showed you earlier of an illustration student, I love how MOACAC changes depending on what floor you're on and depending on what major you're immersed in. And so some student examples, Tommy Moore, Paige Lemley designed this beautiful landscape hotel and actually had a few companies at her senior thesis exhibition vying to hire her. And that's a great problem to have. She ended up going with a company in Chicago, I believe. But I believe she had about 6 to 8 offers at her exhibition alone. Maggie Jo, a very cool alumni who ended up having this beautiful desk that was awarded Best in Show at the International Woodworkers Fair a couple years back. Her senior thesis was gorgeous, so huge bedroom set. And then also thinking about how interior architecture and design isn't just about making gorgeous things or working for different design firms, but how can it be applied in the real world? So I think Kyle is a great example of that. He works at Calvin Klein, but he's thinking about the user experience in a way, like how is an individual going to walk into a Calvin Klein store and be enticed to make a purchase? How is the lighting gonna be? Where should the shelving be within reach? How do you wanna move through a store? I think those things are very interesting to think about, and those are things that IAD students are taught. Same with 360 Design. It's a local Milwaukee company who does a lot of fabrication and consulting for different businesses. And if you go to mainly any restaurant in the Third Ward, the neighborhood that Myatt is in, they have had a hand in building that restaurant, like Dan Dan, which is down the street, or Chard, which is up the street from Myatt. This is a new Korean fusion spot, which is quite tasty. Put it on your list if you're coming to Milwaukee. And then they've also done work for Hacienda, which, if you recall, I mentioned Hacienda earlier. Melissa Lee Johnson has designed some labels for this company. All right, so let's get down to details. The tuition at Myatt for this year is $39,910. That's a lot of money. I don't like to say that number out loud because 100% of full-time students accepted into Myatt receive aid directly from Myatt. And if I break this down a little bit further for you, it's all about merit-based scholarships. When you apply, we require 3 things. I'm gonna skip ahead and I'll probably come back a little bit, but we require 3 things. We require your slide room application, which you can begin for free at maya.edu/apply now. You can start that application. It is free the whole time. You don't have to ask for a fee waiver. It does not exist because it is a free app. We need your high school transcripts. You request these from your guidance office or your counseling office at your high school. That shows us your GPA, which we need for determining scholarship. And then you need a minimum of 10 pieces in your portfolio, sometimes 15. You work with your admissions counselor like me or Melissa to really curate down your portfolio and select your top pieces that will speak to the strength of your portfolio. And that's the other piece that we need for your determining your acceptance and your scholarship. It's really exciting to help and work with students throughout a semester and seeing them grow. But that high school transcript, your GPA, and your portfolio are what determine your merit-based scholarship. And outside scholarships, and I mean outside of Wisconsin scholarships, begin at $16,000 per academic year, and they only go up from there. So I'm gonna go back a little bit. You can also apply for FAFSA. It opens October 1st, which is right around the corner. If you haven't talked to your parents yet, get your stuff together, get your paperwork together. It's a little laborious of a process, but we're talking about the federal government. So, you know, there's always processes and it's all online. So there are, you know, save your password, save your username, you know, be smart about it because it's a really hard system to get, you know, if you mess it up. Not to sway you away. Everyone should apply for FAFSA. I have families sometimes who are like, oh, we're not sure. Just apply. You don't have to take any funds that you don't want to, but you might as well apply and find out. And so in a portfolio, it matters a lot. Keep your grades up. Your GPA matters 50%. Your portfolio matters the other 50%. If you're a student who hasn't started your portfolio yet, that's okay. That's what Myatt admissions counselors are here for. And if you're a student who's been meticulously thinking about your portfolio, good for you. We're still here for it. But we are looking for technical skill, narrative or concept within your pieces, and ambition. Talk with us at admissions if you are interested in learning more about this. I'm also giving a portfolio development presentation once a month. So you can go to our Instagram and find out more about that. You can also attend pre-college. So I'm talking now if there's any freshmen, sophomore, or junior students out there and you're like, I really like this school. How do I get more involved in their community? And how do I figure out if like mine is the place I want to be? Pre-college. It's great. There's a 2-week program and then a 3-week program. The 3-week earns you college credit. It could be transferable to other colleges as well. So really depending on how long you want to stay and if you want to make it advantageous for yourself by getting college credit, then that's awesome. On that note, MIAD also does accept AP and IB credit. So email us if you're interested to see what classes transfer over and scores from past years count as well. So again, scholarships are awarded for every student eligible who's accepted into the program, right? So you need those 3 things. And what's optional, we don't really take ACT, SAT scores. You can send them to us. It doesn't make any difference in our process. AP class credits, if you have them, send them in. They could be worth credit. A personal essay lets us get to know you, same with letters of recommendation, but they're not required, so don't let it hold you up in your application process. I'll also say you can connect with us on the MIAD website, mia.edu. We have an Instagram and a Facebook, which you should definitely follow. We make awesome content for students. This past week, we posted a hashtag Hot Tip Thursday. You can also share your work with us via the hashtag Whip Wednesday. Just make sure you post it in your feed, not your story. And you can also tag my admissions and we'll repost you. Keep in touch with us this way. On our Instagram, we also have a campsite. It's the link in our bio where you could start your application. You could register for a MIAD event like our upcoming info days, portfolio days. You can shop MIAD swag, schedule a portfolio review with me at the bottom or another counselor. And then, what's really cool too is this Saturday is Missouri's virtual National Portfolio Day. So if you don't know what Portfolio Day is, that's okay. Melissa can answer that if anyone has that question. But if you haven't registered for it, you can find it in our campsite, or you can go to www.nationalportfolioday.live or live, well, probably live, and you can sign up for it. And we're all going to be there. I know Melissa and I are both going to be there reviewing portfolios. It would be great to touch base and see you. And that's kind of where I'm going to end my presentation. My name is Sarah Sutterfield. You can schedule a review with me. I'm the primary counselor for Missouri. You can schedule a review at my Calendly, calendly.com/sarah@myad. You can also get in touch with me via text or call me. And then some important dates to keep in your head. October 1st is the FAFSA opening. That's Federal Application for Student Aid. And then MIAD's early action deadline, it's non-action, like it's non-binding, excuse me, is December 1st. And then our final deadline is February 15th. Strongly encourage you, if you're a senior, get it in at December 1st. It's really helpful to have an admissions decision and a scholarship in hand before the holiday season. And it's really useful to also have that opportunity, if there is room to grow your scholarship, which your counselor will work with you on, to have it in before February 15th. Awesome. Thank you guys so much. You have been an awesome audience. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Cool. I just learned that Melissa got booted off of Q&A, so I'm going to go to Q&A for a second. Okay, so Brianna, excuse me if I'm mispronouncing your name, you're asking, so the application is February 15th, but I'm going to community college for 1 year here in Springfield. Awesome. What would be my application due date? It's the same every year, no matter if you're a transfer student or a first-time freshman. So December 1st is when we would encourage it, and February 15th is your final deadline. I hope that helps. Anyone else have a question? You guys have been an awesome audience.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you to Sarah and Melissa from MIAD. It's great to hear more about your institution. And just a reminder for everyone, this recording will be made available on our website at moacac.org shortly. Again, please sign up for more sessions. There's lots more over the next few weeks. And lastly, as you exit from Zoom, you'll get a 4-question survey that we would love you to fill out. Wait, we might have another question. Actually, you do actually have, if you're good for it, Sarah, majors and minors. So you should be able to, let me stop the share on my screen.
Okay, sounds good. So Sarah, you asked if I could show you the slide with the majors again. So I will do that for you guys. So just to be clear, our, oh, I don't know if it's, whoops, okay, hold on. Sorry, guys. Let me get to the actual one first. So our majors are product design, interior architecture and design. Those are both 3D design majors. Our 2D design majors are illustration and communication design, and the new studio practice is our fine arts major. So we only have 5, and then we boast a bunch of minors, and we're growing our minor list as well. I'm trying to get to it for you guys. But I will also have this presentation I can email you, as I'll have all of your information tomorrow as well. Okay, let's see if we can you guys see this? Good to go. So this is all of our majors and our minors. So what's really advantageous, if you're maybe a product designer who wants to minor in furniture design, you can totally do that. Same with sustainability. That's a new minor that didn't exist when I was a student and is very cool. Digital media production, again, is the animation minor associated with if you want to do any type of moving visual storytelling. Right. Thanks, Sarah. Yeah, absolutely. Any other questions that you guys have? You are also all welcome to email me anytime or schedule a portfolio review with me. And also take advantage, National Portfolio Day, they scheduled virtual portfolio days by geography. So every state has their own specific day. If this weekend doesn't work for you, if this Saturday doesn't work, feel free to email me images of your work, start the conversation. It's totally cool. Awesome. I think that's all the questions that we have. I appreciate you guys. You've been a great audience.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everyone, and thank you to our presenters, and have a great night.
Bye, guys.
Okay, bye.